Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing Python series day 7, if, elif and else statements. What is an if statement? An if statement is a logical statement. An if statement specifies a condition when executed and checks if the condition is true. And if it is true, then it does the action you specified. If it is false, it executes a different action with the help of the elif and else statements. For example, num1. So here we have a variable called num1 and another variable called num2. If num1 is equal to num2, so if they both are having the equal value, since they both are 10.5, it should print equal. And if their values are different, or like here if I type 15 and here it's still 10.5, then I use this else statement. Else means if there is anything else, if it's unequal, it it should print on the screen as unequal. So the if statement is saying that it will check the values of these two variables, and then based on that it prints or it executes the action which you wanted to execute. So what I wanted it to type equal if these two variables have the equal value. So it will print equal on the screen. So here you have seen how this if and else statements work. Now let's move to elif statements. So elif statements are like they are used to specify more than two conditions. So if you observe here, we have specified two conditions, right? If and else. But elif statement is like it is used to specify more than two conditions. Now I have a variable called a and the value is 10. If a is equal to 10, then it's going to print equal. Okay, so it's checking the variable, and since that is true, it's going to print equal. So printing equal is the action I wanted to execute based on this a variable. And here I can use the elif statement and type elif a is equal to 15, print greater. So if by any chance if I change 10 to 15, then it's going to print greater. And using the else statement, it's going to print lesser. If there's any other number than 10, other than 10 or 15, then it's just going to print lesser. So that's one example of where you can use if, elif and else statements. So let's try it in the ideal shell. Here, so I have opened the ideal shell. You can open the app which you use. If you use VS Code, open that one. So now I can make a variable called num1 and it's equal to 10.5. Now num2 is another variable and that one is also equal to 10.5. Now I'm going to make the if statement. If num1 is equal to num2. So if these two values are equal, if num1 and num2 are equal, they are equal, right? 10.5. And if they are equal, it needs to execute an action. Now so we should specify what it should do, and based on these two variables, it's going to execute the action. Now if the Okay, now if the action is to print equal, and now I can make an elif statement. Num1 is lesser than num2. Now another so now I'm going to tell Python another action, and so if now it's going to check if num1 is lesser than num2. If num2 is greater than num1, uh, if this second variable is greater than the first one, it's going to execute a different action. So the action can be anything. Now the action can be greater. Else print. Okay, then greater. Yeah, now I can make another elif statement. Num1. So here if num1 is greater than num2, now it's going to execute another action. So the action should be, it has to print lesser. Now I can make an else statement and say else colon the action can be print x. So like that's how these work. So we got the output as equal. So this if statement and elif and else statements, they have been executed, and based on the condition, based on these two variables, the if statement is executed as equal. So since the first one is true, the other three, they're false. Since these two are equal, here it says num1 is lesser than no, num2 is greater than num1. That's not true, that's false. And num1 is greater than num2, false. And else is no, that's also false. So since these two are equal, it has executed the first action. And the first action was to print out equal on the screen, and it has printed equal. So in the same way, we can do it again. Yeah, now here, okay, fine, let's change it to now let's make a new variable num1. Actually, let's change num1 variable to 10, or let's say 5. Yeah, that's better. Oops, sorry. Yeah, then num2 variable is going to be 10. Now if we execute this code, multiple statements. Okay, let's make a different variable. Num is equal to 5. Num3 is equal to 10. Now if we execute it, wait, oof, let's retry. So what I'm trying to say is, it just if and elif statements and else statements, they're useful when in many types of programs they are really useful. So if you try to use them while making, like, there are many programs where you can use them. So what this is doing is it's checking on, it's having a condition, and if that condition is true, so here you see these two are equal, num1 and num2, so it means the condition is true, right? So it has to execute the first one. The first one, the action is to print equal. So that's how it works. Or if the variable was different, if it was, if num1 was like 2, or if num1 was 1, num2 was 5, then it would execute the second action, because the first would be false, they are not equal. This one would be true, and even these other two would be false, right? So I'll just try again. If it doesn't work, 4 is equal to 4, num 5 is equal to 6. Let's see if it works now. Num 4, num 5, 5. Okay, wait a second. I have to do this very fast. 4, 4, 5. Now if we execute the code, okay, there's a syntax error. No problem. So that's how the if, else, and elif statements work. So sometimes you might only have two conditions, two actions that you want the code to execute. So there you use only if and else, these two statements. But if you have many conditions, if you wanted to execute something else also, you use elif statements. So elif statement is like, it's just the third condition. So if is the first condition, else is the second condition, final one. But elif is like you're making a third condition. So you can make more than two conditions for the action to, for the Python to execute. So we tried it out in ideally shell also, and it worked. So you can use these in any of your programs in the future. Thanks for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.